Welcome to the Odds HQ YouTube channel. Saturday, September the 5th. I am Ian Cameron. It is the college football preview show here at Odds HQ and the Odds HQ YouTube channel. And I'm joined by three great college football bettors, handicappers, great minds that really follow the sport closely, do their research, do their homework, and are able to deliver great college football insight. We got Connor Mack. You can see him regularly, of course, on the Betting with the Bag show right here on the Odds HQ YouTube channel. We've got DJ Big Boss and Big Ragu along as well, two guys that I have a ton of history with doing college football shows. I'm excited to be reunited with them as well as we get things rolling. Let's go around the horn with some brief opening thoughts. Connor Mack, let's welcome you in. How are you doing? And it's great to have college football back, isn't it?
It's great. It's a little weird. It's like usually you feel the first week like so excited, big slate, the whole thing. But with everything going on, just to have college football games today, even though it's a few, and these schools still blast. Football's back, college football. So I'm excited. How about you guys?
I'm absolutely Connor Mack. Big Ragu, I know college football. It's one of your bread and butters when it comes to sports betting, and I know you're excited for the start of college football.
I'm ready to get on with some college football. A little smorgasbord today, not so much a full slate like we talked about earlier, but hey, it's 2020. Anything's going to happen this year. If it will, it's going to happen. So let's stick our toes in the water this weekend and see how things develop.
Yeah, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. You're 100%. We're going to have much bigger slates, bigger cards of college football action on future Saturdays for sure, no question. DJ Big Boss, it is good to be back doing a show with him once again. How are you?
What up, though, Babeno? Hey, I'm excited to be back. It's 2020. I'm looking at all the positives. We here, we doing the show. We got a few games going. Welcome in my guy, Connor Mack. And I'm excited to have some fun. I'm in my personal records, I'm 2-1 so far in the few games that we had. I'm 1-1 on the posts that I put on Twitter. So everything is doing good right now. Been having a lot of study time with college football. Not so much in today's slate of games, but I'm breaking down the Sun Belt. I'm looking deep into Conference USA, and now that my team Notre Dame is going to be in the ACC, I'm going to be an ACC guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Big news, of course. Yes, Notre Dame football moving to the ACC out of the independent realm. Maybe they realize, hey, if we want bigger notoriety, we got to start playing these rinky-dink independent schedules and get in a real conference. And they decided we're finally going to do that. All right, guys, we're going to start doing the FBS games, the FBS versus FBS. I know we've got Eastern Kentucky, Marshall, a couple of those FCS versus FBS games. We'll get to those. If you guys have opinions on those, you can throw those out later in the show. But we'll start with the FBS matchups. First one on tap is Middle Tennessee State against Army, 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. Army opened about a field goal favorite here. It bet up slightly to 3.5. It moved up even further than that and then got bet down to where it is right now, back to 3.5 with Army as a favorite. 54.5 the total in this game as well. Seen a slight move toward the under in this game. I'm going to try to keep it brief. I know that's sometimes difficult for me, but I want to because it's a half-hour show. I'm on the Army side here in this game. I look at it from a situational standpoint. Middle Tennessee just found out they're playing Army in the middle of August. That was barely 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden you got to turn around, prepare for a triple option with a short amount of time. And you got to do it with a defensive line that's completely rebuilt from last year. I mean, the Middle Tennessee State team on the defensive front has to basically plug in a bunch of new starters, new faces. That's trouble when it's all about assignment football, blocking schemes, being disciplined in your gaps. And if you've got new faces that are just trying to grasp the system and scheme and now have to face this complex type of offense and Middle Tennessee barely ever plays a triple option team. So that's going to make it even more complicated for them. Now, they have a new quarterback this year, Army, but he's a guy that played snaps for them last year. He wasn't a great passer, but he had a great sense for running the offense, knowing when to pitch, when to keep. That's always key for a quarterback, running the triple option. Middle Tennessee State's defense, I think, is going to be in trouble a little bit today, especially with that revamped D-line. On the flip side, I don't like Asher O'Hara's a quarterback that's I struggled with last year to really get behind. He was inconsistent. He was erratic at times, inaccurate with the football. I know Army sometimes is a defense that can be susceptible, and I know they're going to try to run it, and they might have success of their own, but I like Army here in this matchup to really take advantage of Middle Tennessee State, and I don't trust their quarterback enough against this Army defense. So I'm going to go with Army here. I laid the 3, even at 3.5. I endorse the Army side in this game. Connor Mack, what's your thoughts? Middle Tennessee State, Army.
I agree with you. As like you say, when I look at a service academy, I always look towards unders, normally. So seeing this 55, I kind of wanted to lean there. Kind of too many unknowns though here. I don't like the 3.5. I like your Army play, but I just can't pull the trigger here this early on this game. But I'd like to watch and get a feel for it. And I want to take this under 55. I'm just kind of a little bullish on it because of week 1. So these games are this is the stay off for me.
All right, nothing wrong with that, especially a first game of the season for everybody and a small slate of games. DJ Big Boss, you're up next. What do you think, MTSU Army?
Uh-oh, man. Y'all going to have to get used to this because it's 2020, and I feel like I can say and do whatever I want because that's what's been going on right here. And I'm going to go totally contrarian off of that one. Never play these military teams in week 1. They have a high turnover of athletes. They're only there for a short period of time anyway. You don't know what you're going to get. Now, granted, Army has been working on a lot of things on offense. They had some awesome defense. If you look at them at the past 2 years, they've been playing really well, but we got to take that with a grain of salt. It's probably like 50, 60% new guys, new starters and stuff like that. You're going to get a few people back. And I'll also go contrarian on preparing for the Triple I with a little bit of time, because they all have a small amount of time. You can't open up a large playbook in week 1 right here. So to prepare for the triple option is very rarely, simple. You only really got to prepare for one thing. It's going to take some time for those guys to get a rhythm on where to put the ball at times. So I don't know. Connor Mack's underlook sounds good, but I don't see Navy losing week 1 to Middle Tennessee. So I would say Babeno's Army side looks good too, but overall, it's too much on the board today, even with the few games that it is, to entertain the military game. Just watch it, see how well they run the option this year, see how well they block. They usually can hold some Russian defense, but when the ball goes in the air, it's a different story. So, that'll be a good game to watch right there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm actually going small. Full disclosure, I use a half unit, 1 unit, and 2 unit best bet system. This is half unit, and most of my sides are a half unit. I have a 1 unit total in one of the games later that we'll talk about, but I'm keeping things pretty small and scaling back my wager amounts today as well. Big Ragu, what's your thoughts, opinions here, MTSU Army?
Yeah, I think with Army being in the bubble, so to speak, and having time to prepare, preparation, like you said, week 1, usually when you face these option teams, you have a little extra time to prepare, supposedly, even though the prep goes in for it. And like you said, Middle Tennessee taking a little bit of short notice on this one. I would definitely have a hard lean with the Army here. I kind of like the total on the underside, even though, we got a new quarterback in Army with Jabari. He had some playing time. You got the quarterback for Middle Tennessee. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's got 2,500 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing, Asher O'Hara. So I look for more of a ground control game on both sides of the ball. Now, Army, they used to live on defense. They were like the #1 ranked team for third down, not last year, but the year before prior. They always have a good run game defense set up, because of their style of play. But I don't see a real deep threat on this team for Middle Tennessee State. So I would lean definitely Army side, and under the total would be my play on this game.
All right, the play is under, the lean is Army for Big Ragu with the Blue Raiders and the Black Knights. Let's move on, guys. SMU and Texas State, in-state battle, national television as well, which for Texas State in particular, very rare. But when you're dealing with a limited schedule, you get on national TV as a school and a program like Texas State. SMU has really taken a lot of money. I mean, they opened as low, I believe, as 20.5, 21, and they're all the way up to 23.5-point favorites now. Total's gone back and forth. It skyrocketed up from, I believe, 66 to about 70.5, and it's come down a bit again to 69, which is where it sits right now in this game. I think this SMU offense is going to be just an absolute beast, an absolute machine to deal with this season. Shane Buechele is back, the former Texas Longhorn, who started his college football career there, came to SMU, had a great season last year with the Mustangs, passing for almost 4,000 yards through the air last year, Shane Buechele. He's got his entire offensive line back. And again, continuity with the O-line and the D-line is important, especially in week one, first game of the season. SMU has that going into this game against Texas State. This is an offense that, hung 44, I believe it was, when they played Texas State last year. I think they're an even better offense this year because Buechele's now second year at SMU in the system, knows the system and the scheme even more. He's got his whole O-line back. He's got a boatload, a plethora of wide receiver weapons, a good run game as well. They can attack through the air and on the ground. I think they're going to do significant damage because then you look at Texas State on the defensive side of the football. There was actually a solid defense, Texas State, for Sun Belt standards last year. They were pretty solid on that side of the ball, but they are starting from the ground up again this year on defense. They lose so many key players. I believe they lose one, if not both, of their starting corners from last year in the secondary. The linebacking core is revamped. The defensive line has some personnel turnover from last year. That is a defense that lost a ton of their key members of the team, the defense that made it a solid one last year. They got to 44 against Texas State last year. They might get 50 or 52 even in this game, I think, today. And remember, Sonny Dykes' offense, they play lightning fast, fast pace, fast tempo. You're going to see that from SMU. Texas State, on the flip side, on offense, can't get any worse than it was last year. I watched a lot of Texas State offense because Jake Spavital, the head coach, came in and said, we're going to go fast, we're going to go up-tempo, and they just didn't have the quarterback play to pull it off. Tyler Vitt was their starting quarterback last year. This guy was horrible. I mean, he was awful. I mean, he looked like he could barely make a forward pass coherently half the time last year. Turnovers were an issue. He was very inaccurate with the football. Now, I'm not saying that the guy they've named starting quarterback this season's going to be a better, but he can't be worse. He can only be better. That's Brady McBride. He's been named the starting quarterback, Memphis transfer, and all the reports are raving and gushing about the guy in the camp and the practices leading up to this game for Texas State. And SMU's defense, not quite the turnover personnel-wise that Texas State has had to endure, but they've still lost some key pieces on that side of the ball as well. And SMU's defense, look, this is not a program that plays great defense usually most seasons, but last year they finally had a defense that was pretty decent, and yet still they gave up on average, almost over 400 total yards per game, almost 500. And now they have some personnel concerns about graduation loss and departures and opt-outs as well going into this game. So I'm involved in the total in this game. I'm passing on the side. I don't think I could lay this many with SMU, although I understand why people have bet it up. But I do like this total. I think it goes over 69. You're going to get pace on both sides. You've got defensive question marks for both sides. SMU's offense looks like it is going to be spectacular, and Texas State kind of starting from scratch on defense themselves. So for me, it's going to be a shootout here between these two teams. I think 48-24 type of game. That's what I really see this final score being. 72, that gets you there. I like the over here with SMU, Texas State. Connor Mack, what do you think here? Battle of Texas.
I was thinking the same thing, a final score that they probably get to 50 or 48, 48, maybe 27. I'm on the over 69.5 as well. I like the side's gone up to 23.5, which if it was just a bit lower, you got these key numbers. A backdoor cover seems it could happen here. A late chunk touchdown. But I love SMU, their offense. Buechele, he's threw for 4,000 yards last year. I think they opened the floodgates here. And I'm gonna take the over 69.5 today on this game.
All right, Connor liking the over as well in this game. And I want to mention one thing. Look, that's a high total. And I can understand there's people that are going to look at these two games, this game and the Memphis game coming up that we'll talk about, and say that's just too high of a total for the first game of the season. And it could be. That could be. That's the one thing that's sticking in the pit of my stomach, that maybe this total is just a bit too high for the first game of the season. But I look at Shane Buechele, one of the leaders last year in completions of 20 yards or more and also 40 yards or more. If you're going to get over this total, you're going to have the high pace and tempo on both sides, but you need big plays. You need that ability to have quick strike touchdowns and big plays to put you in the red zone or in plus territory very quickly. And Shane Buechele and this SMU offense proved to be that kind of offense last year. Great with 20 yards or more completions and 40 yards or more completions. That, I think, might help the cause with this over. DJ Big Boss, what do you think about this one? SMU, Texas State.
Here we go again. I'm on the other side again, Babano. I don't see how y'all can calculate the over. I mean, if you watch the last few games of college football, it's the first week. There's bad weather out there. It's humid. You gotta factor in so many factors when you talk about opening up the first week. Now, I agree. SMU, I was heavy on SMU. Me and Big Ragu last year. Big Shmew. We talked about it a lot, but they let us down in some spots, and they kind of fired off at the beginning according to plan. So I do expect them to fire off according to plan because they have a lot more returners on offense. They can maybe have 6 or 7 plays on offense opposed to the 5 plays or 4 plays that they got over there at Texas State. Now, all the long plays down the field and all that stuff, it just doesn't happen in the first week. Like we're not gonna risk it like that. We're not that confident in those guys yet. So I expect the underscore right here, but I expect it also to be a blowout. I expect SMU to hit the floor, running on all cylinders, and Texas State, second year coach right here, it's a reach for him to pull in the new quarterback over there, and that still doesn't satisfy the discrepancies on defense. Like, I do understand they did hold some teams down, which is kind of uncommon in that conference, passing and running, under 400 yards is excellent over there. And they barely did that, but they did it at a losing effort, giving up like 30 points a game and only scoring like 18, 20 points on the other side. That's not a combination for a winning program. And I don't see that changing in 2020. Texas State is going to be on the bottom of their conference. They are not aligned to play teams that are larger than them outside the conference. So I don't see much hope for Texas State right here, other than that they're going to be on national TV. Now, that may pump them up a little bit to play a little bit better. Maybe we get 2 touchdowns out of them, but I don't know if they're going to be able to score on this SMU team who, they're playing together. They're developing the sound like a band, and they're playing together. So I expect big things out of them, and I'm taking the under in this game. And now I did get bit this week taking, like, usually the first week or two, you could take those minus 22, 25. I mean, sometimes the line setters just can't get it high enough, because these teams are going to hit the field so tough. But as we seen in the game earlier this week, they came out looking like they're gonna do it like that, and then only because Central Arkansas had played the week prior that they were able to put up some points in the second half and cut that spread down, and they beat me right there. But I'm kind of hesitant because of that. Maybe that was some of this Corona-19, short time preparation. Maybe that's what we're gonna get there. Maybe I can't follow that trend of taking those big favorites early on. So I'm gonna stay off the side, and I'm just gonna go under in this one, and we're just gonna wait it out. I mean, if you've seen these games, it's fumble on this side of the field, down to the goal line, and interception the other way. So every little factor is playing in my favor and taking the under at such a high number. So it has the most value to take the under right here in week 1.
Yeah, there's arguments for the under in this game. Absolutely there are. And like I say, I'm from a totals perspective, and especially overs, I'm very trepidatious here in this first. This is the only over that I really like on this entire first week card. This was the only one. And even then, you're right. I mean, I'm sort of banking on Texas State's offense being a lot better, but we don't know that yet. We've never seen Brady McBride. We think he's going to be a lot better. He can't be worse than Vitt. Vitt was terrible. What I do know is that Texas State defense could be terrible because they lost so many pieces, and SMU's got this vaunted offense going into this year. So, and weather-wise, I was concerned early in the week. I kept checking San Marcos, Texas. What's the weather going to be? There's a chance of thunderstorms today, but it's not going to be like a downpour or anything. And during the hours, the hourly forecast, the hours during the game, mostly cloudy, partly cloudy. 6 p.m. Central is when the thunderstorms could begin. That might be later in the game down the stretch. So, but I'll take my chances here on this one over the total in this one. Big Ragu, what's your thoughts here? SMU, Texas State.
Well, if you're thinking SMU, you're automatically thinking over because you kind of correlate that team with overs because of the high-power offense. But I think Texas State in this spot, I mean, we don't know, like you said, a lot about McBride, but we know he was a 3-year starter at Memphis, and he's a dual-threat quarterback. He can pass, he can run, he can score touchdowns. I think Texas State's best weapon is going to keep the ball in the hands of McBride and try to keep SMU's offense off the field, and that would correlate to an under in my book. Now, whether they can come about with that game plan, because I definitely don't think that they want to go toe-to-toe with SMU on offense because they'll lose that battle all day long. If that's the game plan, then, maybe we'll see an over. But I think Texas State's best shot to even stay close in this game, let alone, with the number, is to kind of let McBride and see what he has. That's going to be the unknown. It's going to be SMU's defense versus McBride on the offensive side of the ball. So this is a stay away from me here. I hopefully it's an entertaining game. But I would think Texas State's game plan would be keep SMU off the field and try to get some ground control and maybe throw the ball behind the coverage a little bit with McBride here. So it's a pass for me.
All right. Pass for a Big Ragu with SMU and Texas State. Should be an interesting one to watch here between these two teams and how just if this Texas State offense is able to look better, because they couldn't have looked much worse than they did last year. All right, this is a fascinating one. Arkansas State and Memphis. It's the last FBS versus FBS game on the card today. Saturday night television affair on national TV, ESPN. Memphis 18.5-point favorites. The total, the highest total of the day. In college football, 73.5. It was 74. So it has come down a bit on the under. And obviously we know Memphis. Mike Norvell, of course, moves on. He's at Florida State now, a new head coach there. But same quarterback, Brady White, and he's a damn good one. We all remember Brady White from last year and that great electrifying Memphis offense. But I thought Norvell played a pretty good part in that. So it's going to be interesting to see. Can Memphis keep it up? And we know the big news, the biggest news of all, the Kenneth Gainwell situation for the Memphis Tigers running back. And this is a big loss because usually a running back, I don't overreact. But when he gets the number of carries, the number of touches, and the involvement that he had, significant involvement, they almost incorporated him in, like, I would say 80% of their plays last year on offense. And to not have him back, that is more of a blow, losing him as a running back than maybe some other running backs with other teams in other situations, in my opinion. So it is, to me, a big deal for Memphis being without him. On the flip side, this Arkansas State offense, boy, there's a lot to like. They're going to be very good. Of course, they've always been pretty good. Blake Anderson has found a way to really get good offense here with this Arkansas State Red Wolves program. They have two quarterbacks that are very, very capable, and there's a chance they might interchange both of them. Logan Bonner suffered an injury last year, but they're very high on him. And, of course, Hatcher is the other quarterback here for this Arkansas State team. But both of them can play. Both of them showed they can play last year. And Memphis has some defensive question marks a little bit coming into this season as well. So I thought there was enough reasoning to pull the trigger on the dog here in this game. I took the plus 19 points with Arkansas State. I didn't get the best number here, kind of disappointing because I know they were 20.5, 21 even in some spots earlier. But at 19, I thought it was worth a look. And to me, with this Memphis team for the last couple seasons, what have they been? They've been a great offensive team, but they've been very, very sketchy, susceptible on defense. And I'm going to need to see better defense from Memphis this season in this game before I'm ready to lay 19 points with them here in the opening game of the season. And again, when I want to take big points with these dogs, I want dogs that can score more than the dogs that have to play defense and struggle to score. Because what if you need that backdoor touchdown? Don't you want the team to have the potential to give you that? Arkansas State has the offense that I think could give me that backdoor score if they're down by 21 or 24 late in the game. So I'm on Arkansas State here, the Red Wolves, plus 19. Let's reverse the order this time. Big Ragu, we'll start with you on this game. Arkansas State, Memphis.
I was high in Arkansas State last year. I hit a couple spots with them that, when Coach's wife passed last year, they had a game against UNLV, and they really showed out in that game. Then the next week they went to Georgia and got they got beat up pretty good after that emotional game. But this is a team, like you said, that can score points. Bonner, I like the quarterback here and running this offense. I think 19 is a lot of points. I don't think they're 3 touchdowns better on the other side. I was really interested in the total, but 74 points. That's a lot. That's an uphill battle, even though they'll probably get close. But if you look at the over, you almost have to like Arkansas State to get involved here if you like the under. But Memphis has got some defensive challenges here. But I'm with you on the plus side of the points here. I think Arkansas could match this team stride for stride, believe it or not. I think they were going to stay with under 2 scores. So I'm going to be on the Arkansas State, the Red Wolves.
You know what's funny is, I want no part of the over in this game, and especially at 74. I actually lean under, and do you know why? Mike McIntyre, DC now for Memphis. He's had this ability to come right in, step in, and immediately get great results. Look at last year at Ole Miss, which actually played Memphis in the very first week of the season. What the hell was the final score of that game the first week? He was taking over Ole Miss DC. Yeah, it was like 17-14 or something. Yeah. Like 31 points in the game with Mike McIntyre in his first game as defensive coordinator with Ole Miss last year. And that Ole Miss defense, I thought, improved under Mike McIntyre. He was at Colorado. Remember, when he went to Colorado, that defense stunk when he went there. He turned that defense around there. This is a guy that's been able to get teams better at the defensive side of the football and quickly been able to do it. So, yeah, this is one total. I don't want the over here. It would be under or pass for me from a total standpoint. DJ Big Boss, what do you think here with the Red Wolves and Tigers?
I'm going to just take a side note to say, man, it's a beautiful thing. It's like music to my ears to hear us capping these games. And somehow when we do these Saturday shows,
feels good.
Bano and all these people, all the good information pops up. And you hit it on the nail with Guy McIntyre over there. One of the biggest challenges for them over there was to recreate, what they had left behind there. And then now that McIntyre steps in here, it's 7 other staff in there that they had to fill because a lot of those guys took off with Norvell. But that could be a very positive factor when you have something that's already pretty much put together, and then you get to go pick the people that's going to help you maintain this. Now, are they going to stay aligned with the system that was set there? I don't know. I'm pretty sure once Silverfield takes over, he's going to implement some stuff he thought should have been a little different in there, and that could be amazing success, or it could be amazing failure. But in this game, coming to see Arkansas State, now I'm not too high on Arkansas State playing too much defense. I mean, they didn't really have much defense last year, and I don't expect too much to change this year. So I kind of want to stay away from the total on that one as well. But returning 9 on offense at Arkansas State, mostly on the offensive line. So those guys are going to be blocking today. I think in this one, I kind of lean under thinking about what Big Ragu saying with coaches that's going to come in there and just try to keep the other offense off the field. Keep your offense on the field, keep the other offense off the field, and that'll maintain under in the total. But both of these teams overall have their work cut out on defense. Arkansas State, they suffer on run defense, and that's tough in college football. Like, if you can't stop the run, you're bleeding all over the place. So this is going to be a tough matchup right here. I'm going to pass on the game, but I would actually agree with you guys and take the points in this one. And I'd also lean hard on the under, just because it's week 1 and you're getting all those factors I spoke about before. We do have 2 teams that are troubled on defense, so I expect them to try to, address that this year. So maybe they at least come out first half and play some defense. So maybe first half under sounds good to me, or I don't know. I go ahead and take the points with Arkansas State.
Yeah,
All right, so
they have a new signal caller too on Memphis. You know, so you got a first-year coach. Not really, because he's familiar with the recruits and done some recruits himself. But we got to see how the scheme's going to play out for these guys. We know what we're going to get with the Arkansas State. The unknown too is how's McIntyre's defense is going to show up. You know, if he's going to show up, then you might be right. New offense, new defense. You know, maybe some kinks got to be worked out. So maybe under is a good play here.
Yeah, Ryan Silverfield, of course, takes over as the Memphis head coach, and the coordinator is Kevin Johns. He's a guy that was actually with the program last year, worked with Norvell. So it's a guy that, you know, there's not going to be much scheme, terminology, system changes offensively, at least going into this season. But I think defense, again, I remember having Ole Miss Memphis over last year in that first game, and there's McIntyre with Ole Miss as their DC, and he just had – and Memphis was a great offense last year, and here's Ole Miss – defense that stunk before McIntyre came there, and they bamboozled Memphis. I mean, they held them below 20 points. So that's why these are two games with very high totals, the SMU game and this one. If there was one game I would say I would be more confident in the over, it would be the SMU game. If there was one game I would be more confident in the under, it would probably be this Arkansas State-Memphis game. Connor Mack, what's your thoughts on this one, the nightcap?
I agree, but I think it could get there. I'm not going to take it. 74 is just way week one. I want nothing to do with the total. As Raghu was saying, I had Arkansas State, as we do. We go cap these games, you know, all year. They were great for me a few games early in the year. Towards the end of the year, they couldn't stop anybody. Arkansas State, they were giving up 60 points. They couldn't even have a stop a game. They were giving up 8 touchdowns and a couple of field goals, giving up 60-something points. While they can move the ball, I think they will score here. So, yeah, and the Kenneth Gainwell, opting out and wanting to go pro that doesn't help. But Brady White, you know, he's back. What's this, his 7th year? I think it's his 6th, but you know what I mean. Threw for 4,000 yards, 33 touchdowns. I think they light it up, but I can't trust going with the over 74. I lean a little bit Memphis to cover, but I can't take it because Arkansas State can score, and Memphis defense isn't great. So both of these are a pass for me, and that's all I see in this game. It should be fun to watch, definitely, and especially in these week ones to get a feel. And always week ones, you always kind of just want to see what's going. You know, they haven't played anybody. Of course, they're just practicing. So it's very up in the air. But I do see points on the board. But I don't – 74. Could it get there? Yeah, I just don't trust on taking it, you know, on the over on that.
Does anybody have a team total on Memphis?
I can bring that up in just a second here. Let's see.
Just curious. We're all talking about, you know, scoring points on
47.5. 47.5. Yeah. Even
so
that's high.
7 touchdowns.
And that's always the concern, is that when you get up by a certain margin, do you pull guys because you know you got some bigger games coming up if you're Memphis. Right. That's always the concern.
And it's week 1.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's week 1. Exactly right. Can you just have that kind of fluidity and execution at that high of an efficiency level in the first week to get over a 47.5 team total? That's always the big question mark. Before we wrap up, BYU Navy, the Monday night game, if you guys have thoughts on that, get to them. Or the FCS versus FBS games today, like Eastern Kentucky, Marshall, if you got any thoughts on those. Plus, give out your best bet before we wrap up. I've got nothing. I'm not even going to talk about BYU Navy because this game is a clear pass for me. I think it's a watch and observe game. BYU's offense has stunk for years. I know their quarterback has shown glimpses of getting better, but I don't like backing BYU against Navy. Here's another situation. You just found out you're playing Navy your first game, and here you go. You got to get ready for the triple option. But I think that's a worse situation for Middle Tennessee prepping for Army than it is BYU prepping for Navy. So that's a game I've struggled with all week. I'm passing on it. But Connor Mack, we'll start with you. BYU Navy, if you've got anything on that, or the FCS games today, and also give out your best bet.
Okay. In this one, I'm leaning a little bit to Navy. BYU started out as the dog getting +3. Now it's switched to Navy's +2, some places 1.5. I don't love it. BYU is solid. The tough thing with Navy though, losing Perry is just it's a big unknown going forward with Navy. I still like him at home. Thinking about this game a lot, break down a little bit in the next day or two. We have it Monday night. BYU was solid in the beginning of the year last year. I cashed a few of those games. I think they beat Boise and SC. So I think they'll be solid too. So this is a game I like to look at. But yeah, tough one here for the first week. Definitely a watch and look. Agree there. And with the other games, real quick, I don't really like anything. The only kind of lean I have is UTEP -6.5 over Stephen F. Austin. It's kind of a lean here. I don't know if I want to pull the trigger on that, but I don't really love anything else with Baptist in North Texas. Kind of just been, skimming these, trying to check things out on them, but nothing right now that I really, really love.
Yeah, I did not even look at FCS versus FBS games this week. I really just stuck to the FBS versus FBS matchup. So, like I say, I'm not going to go into detail with those. And again, BYU Navy, I got nothing. I'm definitely not betting anything pre-game before that game. Maybe in-game we'll find something live, but nothing before the game starts. DJ Big Boss, anything for you, BYU Navy, and your best bet? Throw out a best bet today if you got it.
I'm going to tell you, BYU Navy, that's some freaky stuff, Bilbano. That's some freaky stuff to be dealing with. I mean, what's the average age of a player on the team between both of them? 25?
Yeah, 50 years old. It's going to feel and look like 50.
This is definitely a grown man game right here. So I'm staying way off of that one right there. And once again, it's a military team. Not knowing too much, I've been hearing rumors, and BYU, they ex-Mountain West, so I always keep a little ear open to BYU. But I heard BYU is regressing a lot. I haven't looked deep into it, but they're regressing. But like kind of said, they did get some big wins last year, beating Boise and USC. But other than that, sometimes they were just plain potato salad. But in this one right here, I'm definitely staying off of that one. I'm sure the DJ and me is gonna probably put a few bets in today, but nothing that I'm gonna put out for anybody else to follow. But best bet that jumped off the page to me was that SMU under. So that jumped off the page to me. I got on the show this morning, and I'm getting faded all over the place. But it's all good, man. I'm going to just be sitting there with a bowl of ice cream, just waiting for him to fumble, waiting for the interception, waiting for the delay of game. I'm just going to probably take a lot of unders.
After like a 10-play drive, missed field goal. That's perfect for you.
Big plays get called back on penalties. It's week one. I'm entertaining it all. So I'm looking at some unders in those perspectives, and I'm looking for a good favorite that could actually win. And I haven't really figured that one out yet because a lot of after watching a few games that we did have, some of these everybody's getting a smaller preparation time, and we know college football is a lot about coaching and preparation. So you want to find the best quality coaching staffs you can find and back them, and you want to fade everything else. And week one, you want to try to take the under. So I'm giving out a little advice, and my best bet is the under in the SMU.
All right, under in the SMU. Of course, I'm on the over in that game, but I love when we disagree sometimes, because if everybody agreed and everybody was on the same side, there'd be no betting market out there in the world right now, and that would be trouble, because then we wouldn't be able to do what we love. Big Ragu, what do you think of BYU Navy? If you've got any thoughts on that game Monday night, and also a best bet if you've got one.
I'm going to start with the best bet, under in the Army game. That's going to be my best bet.
All right, under 54.5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Under in that game. And then I think the BYU Navy game is going to take a similar style to that game. Obviously academy schools playing their games, one home, one away, but I think I kind of like the BYU linebacker core a little bit, because they've been together a little bit, and with the new with that option offense that they're going to run in Navy, I would probably give a lean towards BYU here in this spot, just because on the defense versus the Army with the Navy offense. Maybe a low-scoring game there too, possibly, but maybe some mistakes here or there. And DJ, you got to be careful what you wish for on those interceptions, because some of them might turn to pick sixes and fumble run the other way.
That's right.
And field position. But anyways, yeah. I'm with you on that one too, DJ. But yeah, my play would be Army under, and then and just a lean towards BYU. You know, at up in Utah for their getting there. What are they laying or are they giving now?
BYU's minus. Yeah, BYU's minus 1.5. Correct.
1.5. All right. So, yeah, because I seen it was a pick 'em earlier. But anyways, I lean BYU and then under Army best bet.
All right, under Army is the best bet, and you know what? It's funny. SMU Texas State. If DJ Big Boss had the resources and the ability to do it, he'd hire some person to be on the sideline. There's this interception thrown. Looks like it's going to be a pick six, and this guy that DJ Big Boss has hired throws out a banana peel on the field and slips on it. And no big six for you. I need that under. You're not going anywhere with that football. Yeah, and I could see DJ Big Boss. I think could resort to those kind of tactics. You never know.
Hey,
he's pretty resourceful.
Yeah. I could try it, but it's a 50-50 market out here. So, you know, don't take everything as and put it in stone. You know, it's a 50-50 market. It's kind of how I'm feeling inside. We're in a crazy year right here. And like I said, preparation time is way down. Yeah. And but, you know, at the same time, I don't look at that as a hindering factor, because if you look at college football, the regimen of practice and all that stuff, they do a lot of in classroom stuff is where the good stuff comes out. They're expected to condition on their own. You know, they go out there and do those little drills like they've been doing it for 20 years, just like they have. And you know, when they come together as team in college, it's pretty good too. But they don't come in together at full contact a lot during the regular long season, you know. So being that it's a short season, I don't want to say that, you know, they're way underprepared, but teams with not a lot of experience don't have a large playbook. You know, teams that are struggling on offense, they only can afford to open up few formations, few plays, and take all that good stuff for what it's worth, take your own opinion on it, and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good advice. And it's good advice, too, to take it easy here the first few games here, first week and next. And also, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world to wait until the day before or even game day, the kickoff day, to bet these games. You never know. Last-second opt-outs, or there's a COVID-19 situation. By the way, I loved hearing DJ Big Boss say Corona-19. That was the first time I ever heard anyone say it. I loved it. I was like, Corona. It actually sounds cool. Corona-19. Yeah. It was great. But, yeah, just be careful, because you just never know. And stay on top of it, because the worst thing you could be is in a position where you've got a good number on a team. Then all of us early in the week, you bet it. And then kickoff day arrives. What? 5 guys out with COVID-19, and everybody's going to bet the other side. You're going to be stuck with a bad number in a negative situation. So just be on top of it. Get those phones out. Stay on top of the news. You know, line movements.
Great
all
advice.
Of that stuff. Definitely, especially in a season like this, a unique season like this, unlike any other in college football. I'll end it with my best bet. It was going to be Army, but it's up to 4 now. I'm going to scale back, pull that one back off the best bet mantle. I'm going to go with Arkansas State instead, plus 18 against Memphis. I think they got a chance to hang with that number, because they got the offense to maybe keep that closer. So Arkansas State plus 18 against Memphis for my best bet. That'll wrap it up. That's our first show. We're going to be doing this every Saturday morning before the Saturday college football card, and we're looking forward to it. Great to be with Connor Mack, DJ Big Boss, and Big Ragu. Will be back with you next Saturday right here on the Odds HQ YouTube channel for our Saturday college football betting preview show. For Connor Mack, for DJ Big Boss, for Big Ragu, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Good luck with your wagers. We'll see you again right here next Saturday for another Odds HQ college football betting preview show.